Welcome to the channel. My name's James Gagliardi, and if you're new, please think about hitting that like and subscribe as I'm a growing channel and I need all the support I can get. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much. Today, we're going to be talking about the 8th generation Corvette's interior. For the first time ever in a Corvette, one of the biggest things that I noticed is that they're using Nappa leather for the first time, which really will set their products apart from products of the past, say like the 7th generation Corvettes and generations previous. In generations previous, they seem to have always used cheaper materials to try to save on costs, to give you that awesome motor and, suspension. But now, since they haven't developed a new motor for this car and they're kind of just using last gen's motor, I feel like they had a lot more extra funding to put towards making this interior a lot higher quality and giving you that option as a customer of having a more expensive interior or having, just an interior so you can get the car. You have 3 different options for seats now, and that's starting with the GT1, which is your standard bucket seat, probably has electric motors to move around and whatnot. And that has probably, your standard leather trim. If it's leather, who knows? And then it goes right to the GT2 seat, which is definitely a lot nicer, and I'd recommend getting it because it has Nappa leather on it, and to me that just makes it feel like a more luxurious product. But not everybody cares about that. And then you have the new competition seat, which looks really cool, has nice new supports. You could see they're using kind of like a more durable material in the bolsters because they know that you're going to be going side to side and whatnot, and rubbing up on them all the time, which is neat to see because overall, it'll hold up better as the years go on. Another thing to note is that it seems like they're using this new, I don't want to say metal lookalike, like aluminum lookalike trim on like all the switches, kind of like a Mercedes and BMW. If you notice, like all their window switches now have like that like aluminum finish on it. And they're doing the same thing, which is a nice touch. I mean, they're a little late to the game with it, but all their switchgear looks a lot nicer in this car, which gives it an overall more premium feel. You can see that especially in the video where you have the guy reaching for the drive, the neutral button, the gear selectors, and you could see that little bit of trim there, that little accent. To me, I think that's a nice touch. And third, what you could see in the video is, if you look at the gauge cluster, they finally ditched the analog gauges, which is a pretty big thing for them because, they had that center screen in the C7, but I don't think it ever really looked good. To me, it was one of the things in the C7 that, was a drawback because you had that cool looking screen in the center and then you had these crappy looking analog gauges, in my opinion, off to the sides. To me, that's a big step up, seeing that they went with the all-digital, gauge cluster. I think that's, huge. And there's probably a lot of things you can customize in it. It just overall looks more high quality. I like now that, they have a much bigger navigation screen, and it looks like, they're kind of following the trend of, I don't want to say a Tesla, but kind of more like Chrysler Auto Group, where they have, larger navigation screens. It looks like, it finally supports multi-touch gestures and whatnot. And in the video, you will see that they focus in on Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is a big thing in the car industry today because for some reason, all these sports car manufacturers just don't include it for some reason. A lot of them still don't. And it's important to see that. It's a good thing to see that Chevrolet included it in the Corvette. Another thing that I'd like to touch upon is, in terms of like design, maybe not everybody picked this up, but I did. And they showed off the aluminum grills on the Bose speaker system in the car, which, showed that they were following the trend of more premium auto manufacturers like BMW and Mercedes. Mercedes started the trend. In my car, I have them. It's a nice touch. I mean, then BMW got it, then Audi started doing it, and now the Corvette's doing it too. And Chevy's doing it with the Corvette, which, just goes to show their true intentions of creating a more premium Corvette experience. One other thing that I think is important to note with, you know, the whole thing of the Corvette being a more premium experience now is the paddle shifters. In the 7th generation Corvette, it was a huge drawback. A lot of people complained about them being, you know, plastic and, you know, it's just not having a satisfying, you know, touch to it. Now, a pretty controversial point in the new Corvette's interior is that center stack that swoops down to the right and has all the buttons on it. Some people like it, some people don't. I think it just, you know, people just need some time to digest it. Me, I thought it was great because it was something that really set the Corvette apart. You know, it almost reminds me of in the Bugatti Chiron, how they have that whole swooping center line and going up the roof. It kind of reminded me of that, a mix of, you know, McLaren models as well as Ferraris where they have that, you know, curved center stack, you know, full of buttons. I liked it. I think that it's, you know, it sets the Corvette apart. It makes it feel different. It's not just your average interior, you know, it's very focused on the driver. And I think that, you know, it's definitely a nice change. You know, it makes the Corvette feel completely new. Well, that's all for today's video. I wanted to keep it nice and short and straight to the point. If you enjoyed it, please give me that like and subscribe, as I'm a new channel and I'm trying to grow to provide everybody with some awesome content here. Thanks for watching.